This is Steven Diego, and you are tuned in to Breaking Down the Breakdown. On today's episode, we are talking to Michaela about the highs and lows of motherhood during COVID. Hello, everyone. Today is a great day. Why? Because I finally get reunited with one of my good friends, one of my close friends that I don't see at all because, that's not how friendships really work all the time. But it's totally cool. She's so busy with life, and she's here to talk about being a new mom. Michaela! Michaela!
Hey. This is just casually like two people, like friends, who talk to each other, like who haven't talked to each other for a long time.
Yeah,
Um,
it's gonna take a while. We're probably gonna get off topic every now and then. But it is what it is. How are you? What is good?
well, I'm doing good. My kid just recently went to daycare,
Oh my
Pablo.
God.
So, it has been like, I don't know, like a roller coaster kind of emotion for the last 2 weeks because I've been with him for 18 months. You know,
It's
for
been 18 months? What the fuck?
it's
Sorry.
been 18 months.
Jesus. It's been that long. Sorry.
Yeah, it's for 18 months because of COVID, because I should have gone back to work um,
Right.
last May, but I didn't because there was daycare closures. So I had to make a decision and just, like to sign him up on November because I'm going back to work on November. Wait, now it's November, but I'll be back in 2 weeks.
I was like, are you sure you're going back to work? Are you just saying this so that the viewers won't be like, wow, she's jobless? I'm kidding. It's
Honestly, I
okay
don't want
if
to
you're
go back.
jobless. It's fine. It's
Well,
cool.
everything's good.
But that's
Everything's good.
good.
Yeah,
That's really good. Oh my God, I can't believe it's been that long. What in the
right.
heck? Where did the time go? Like, I remember just like,
I know now, like he's walking, like my baby shower. My
yeah,
tummy's so
that's
big.
it. That is it. Oh my
A
God.
lot has changed, but it doesn't feel like it has been a long time. But a lot has changed.
Well, that means you're enjoying it, right? But I know it didn't come without its share of downs,
Right.
right?
Yes.
I know
Yeah.
I remember I was talking to you when I went, and you were just kind of sharing like, what you were going through. And it's funny because for me, when I think, and I feel like it's for a lot of people too, when people think motherhood, well, oftentimes people don't think about, the downside of that. I'm not saying that it's bad to be a mother, like whatever, but we tend to think that, because having children is like, especially for people who want to have children, it's like the greatest gift,
It's like
right? Which it is.
a dream come true. It is, but like there are some things that I thought that I'm prepared for it, but wow, it's just gonna surprise you.
My
It's
God.
just
Okay.
gonna surprise you.
We have a lot to unpack here, ladies and gents, and everyone who falls in between. Okay, Michaela. So, what was it like then? Okay, so I do want to know. So, when you had Pablo, like initially, like like obviously, I don't want you to describe how it was like giving birth, but I don't
I
think people want to hear that.
don't know.
Maybe it's a Halloween episode.
You didn't tell me I should have worn my costume.
You should No, but honestly, like when you're finally able to hold him in his arms, I figured everything was great, right?
Of
So
course.
when did you start feeling like a little kind of like like was there something that triggered it? Was it just kind of like
It's
what?
hormones and you're sleep deprived, a lot of things. And I just didn't realize that um, I thought like just like in the movies, when you have a baby, then like you're gonna have that moment and you're just
Yeah,
gonna cry and just be happy. I thought I'm gonna have that moment, that I had that moment, but then it's just different to transition to that moment because I was in labor for 48
oh
hours,
my
for
God.
almost 48 hours. So, your question is like, um,
Like
what's
so
again?
when it was like because I know that like it's like what you're saying, you know you thought it was gonna be one of those like Hollywood endings
Right,
where you have a kid and
right.
everything is so happy, right? I'm
Yeah,
not saying you're not happy, but it's just I know something probably set in your
exactly.
mind that just kind of made you feel like, okay, this is actually a lot. So like around like when did you start feeling that way?
I felt it like right after that I was told that I'm gonna be in cesarean section delivery. So, because I was in labor for 48 hours
Hmm.
and I was pushing Pablo out like uh, normal delivery for an hour and a half,
Okay.
but I was already in labor. I haven't eaten for 42 hours. I was just eating jello and
Oh
soup.
my God.
So you can just imagine like waiting for that moment and that all the drugs that is into your system and
Yeah.
you're exhausted and you haven't eaten. So, and then I, because what I would want in my plan is to have the baby normal delivery. I don't
Right.
want that scar. And so, um, just right after I was pushing like an hour and a half, the nurse told me that like, I'm really sorry, but it's just time to do a cesarean um, delivery. So I was just feeling incapable
Right.
because how come other women can just do it? Like they can
Right.
push, it comes naturally. Like I feel like during my pregnancy, I feel like this is what I wanted for my entire life, apart from being a wife. But I feel like that I am made kind of to just deliver a baby, but it just didn't happen. So that's just one frustration that I had.
Right.
And then second is just right after having that baby is the feeling of not being capable to really be there for him yes, because your body is still healing from the scar that you had. Like you cannot walk, you cannot go to the washroom because you're still in a catheter, things like that. I think my personality is like I don't want it, it's not that I don't want people to take care of me, but I just feel so useless,
Right.
lack of a better term, like if I'm not taking care of, especially like my baby.
Yeah.
But I have to process it in a way that, like this happened and I just needed to, take a moment and just reflect on what's happening. So, so that, and then I think like the emotions that I had came up because you're sleep deprived and it's
Right.
crazy, like you wouldn't even realize what people are telling you, like new parents tell you or like older people tell you that had kids, that you need to get some sleep before the baby arrives, because when the baby arrives every hour you have to feed them and they're crying and and like just having that surgery as well as for moms who had went through a cesarean delivery, it's really hard to do it for the first few days, first few weeks, and it can um, take up to like 2 to 3 months. But for me, I feel a bit adjusted to that new life that
Right.
um, it's still a new life for me now because
Yeah.
so a learning process, but yeah, so that's just what it is.
So do you okay, just to recap, because I know you kind of cut off a little bit there. So like just in case people are like, wait, what's she talking about? She's talking about right when she had baby, she felt a little useless because she was still kind of resting, right? And then it's like, you were like in all sorts of like different situations where, and you start comparing yourself to other mothers that are able to do all of these things already, right?
Yeah, like like insecurity comes in, and you
Hmm.
know feeling, like the feeling that just like what I said earlier, the feeling of not being capable
Yeah.
when you thought that you were capable because you're
That's
just used to doing things on your own, and
yeah.
it can happen. um where am I going with this? What? what I'm trying to say is that, I just didn't realize that it can happen to me because this is something
Right.
that I really wanted. And it kind of like it, it came to a point where I questioned myself and I asked myself, is this something that, would really get into me?
Hmm.
Because I would want to work quick and not to dwell in that situation because I know that I can be in a position where I can go crazy. So yeah,
Well, I mean, yeah, anyone, if they were put in your position, I feel like, would have the same exact feelings as you, right? I mean, especially going into that whole thing. I mean, I'm not, it, let me put it this way. That's expectations, right? Like it's the same way as if you having a dream job and getting that dream job and realizing like like fuck, this is actually so fucking hard, and you thought you would excel in something,
exactly. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But this
that's
is a lot worse because this is like this is your entire life. Like this is it's a new child. It's a child. It's something that you've always dreamed
wanted.
of. Your
Yeah.
exactly, right? That's, oh my goodness. So okay, so already, even before this happened, or like right after it happens, you're already in that mindset of fuck, like, oh no, like,
I'm
I'm
ready.
not like
It's like I think I'm ready for it, but it's here. I have no choice.
damn it, I gotta just do it. But okay, so I mean, clearly you're good now, but I can just imagine the journey from getting yourself out of that really
Yeah,
insecure.
and especially with the COVID happening too, like
Yeah.
after a few months.
And you just, oh my goodness. But
Yeah.
like, I do have to know. So like when you're finally, like when Pablo was like a few months old, were you still kind of having the insecurity vibes to kind of like, like do other mothers feel this way? Like how did you deal with that stuff? Are you there?
Yes, I did. I did have insecurity, of course,
Hmm.
because your body just went through something really massive. And I remember myself being in the shower after like 36 hours because after you give birth, especially when you deliver the baby C-section, you cannot you cannot bathe yourself and you just need to wait for that specific period because you might get
Hmm.
sick after. So
Right.
I remember myself just crying and looking at my body, and you just feel like you like I remember myself like looking at my body and just, oh, like this this is like a huge change like in
Yeah.
my life. And um yeah, and I just really felt stuck as well into transition of um being or like being a different person to being a mom because I think I'm prepared, but I'm not. Like, I just want to say that, that's something that I really wanted to do, but I'm happy and I'm super grateful. But then in that process, you wouldn't just think that people are telling you when it's really challenging. It is
Yeah.
really challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I felt a lot of insecurities, not just, physically, but emotionally as well, because you
Right.
not just do the things that you are used to doing. Like for the first few months, I remember I was crying to my husband and telling him that, this baby is crying so much and I cannot even watch like 5 minutes straight of what we're watching. And
Yeah.
we're just used to watching Netflix every night, for like good 30 minutes just to unwind
Yeah.
and just to, just have that time for the both of us. But now,
Yeah.
like, we have a baby now, and this is our priority.
Of
Like, it's
course.
our
Of
priority
course.
to like feed him and stuff like that. And yeah, so Yeah,
It's, it's hard because these are things that a lot of people when they have kids, and like especially within our age group now, most of our friends are having kids. And anytime we ask them, like, how are you doing? It's always the regular, like, I'm great, I love my child, like, I'm so happy, right?
exactly. Yeah,
And like they honestly, thank you for honestly being here right now and talking about this because there's probably a lot of, not probably, I know there's a lot of women out there
but yeah,
that are going through what you went through or like that went through what you went through and probably don't want to talk about it to other people thinking they're terrible for thinking that. When it's
right.
like, no, you're not, and it's like, I'm glad your husband is super supportive,
Yes, he is. Yeah.
right? Because not everybody, and like I'm speaking for like especially single mothers, right? Like, can you
I
just imagine what kind of, right?
know. And I think about those like people like that only have like themselves to protect.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it's already so hard when you already have the support system. Imagine being your own support system. So it's like, guys, we need to be more compassionate towards people. Like we really don't know what people are going through.
Exactly, exactly. And I like this is my realization just to just share just a little bit.
Mm.
Um, of course, like it's like your family is happy to see the baby, but sometimes the mother, she gets left out. Like I didn't get left out. Like people are supportive of me, but
For sure.
there are people who wouldn't even check on the mom,
Yeah.
or like the husband is, like I just heard stories about it. So I just made a decision that every time that I hear my friend or that I know somebody who just went through delivery and labor, just to just be supportive with that mom, just
Right.
simply ask like, what can I do for you, because some of my friends did that and it just felt so good.
That's amazing. That's really good.
Yeah.
I have to apologize. I didn't reach out as much as I should have. I did not know that's how these things work. I thought it would have been, and let me say this right now. I'm not trying
You
to
did
defend
like
my.
every time.
Yeah, but like it was more just like, oh my God, you have a baby. Oh my God. It's like, but because for, I guess,
Totally understandable.
right, because for people, they feel like, at least for me, I thought, whenever somebody has a family, starts a
Like,
family,
yeah, before.
they want time with
Yeah.
just their kid and their husband, and that's it. So I feel like a lot of people tend to avoid new mothers, new families because they're like, well, they're having their time. I don't want to intrude. So hearing this is actually very eye-opening because,
Yeah.
knowing that your friends actually helped you through the transition, like that's amazing.
Yeah. You just don't know how that really helped me, when my friends just went here and just to, carry the baby for a couple of hours and just left me for like 30 minutes, or like when my mother-in-law is telling me that, hey, I cooked tinola for you. That's just, amazing.
It
So yeah.
That's really good. I'm so glad. Okay, that's really great. But, you know, even despite all of the greatness, I know that there's another monster that just kind of came, into all of our lives in the name of COVID,
Yeah. Oh
right?
gosh. Yeah.
And I do want to ask, like, how was it like transitioning to becoming like a full-blown mama, but with new guidelines and regulations and stuff, right? I can already imagine how hard it is to raise a child in normal society, in a regular world. And now there's this kind of like added layer to that. It's like a video game where it's like, well, I'm gonna play in expert mode. Let's add a fucking disease. See how we raise a fucking child. It's like science experiments, you know?
It's crazy. You know what? It just brings you a lot of worries, because every time Pablo gets like runny nose, or like he's just coughing, like even for me, like even though I'm just coughing, like it just like makes me feel really worried that I want to go to the emergency and just get him checked.
Mm.
He did a swab test because he has a flu, but then we really like it was needed to like for us to do it, because we like we wouldn't know if it is something that is serious or
Right.
beyond just having flu or just being sick. I mean, raising a baby with like in this situation, it's really challenging because it makes you go crazy.
Yeah, I'm already going crazy without a
Uh,
baby, so can just imagine you.
oh my God. I mean, it's just it just really gets in the way of everything with the restrictions. Even though you go to a park and just have fun, you can't because I need to like bring a sanitizer and just sanitize all the slides and all the what do you
Oh
call that,
my.
all the swings just to make sure, because I don't want to be that mom. I
Yeah,
want my baby to be able to play in the dirt and just pick up a leaf or anything and just throw it. But then you just really feel so anxious with everything your baby touches.
of course.
That's one thing. And also with COVID, like with myself as a mom, because you can't work and because you do have a baby, of course, you just feel stuck with everything because of all these restrictions. And like that that feeling of feeling stuck, it just wouldn't come in one go. Like it would come in waves. Like,
Oh,
for example, you're just doing like a simple house chore, and you're doing laundry and you're folding the clothes, and then you're doing that for good 6 months or 8 months.
oh my God.
And then, yeah, of course, like if you're a mom and you're a stay-at-home mom and you're with your baby, that's just what you do. You take care of the baby, feed a baby.
Yeah,
It's everyday routine, right?
right.
So come 1 year, like you would want to go to work because you would want to be able to, provide for your baby better, but then you can't because there's this pandemic and it's all so new. And and then I felt like after 1 year that I need to start doing something for myself. Though I'm so happy to do everything at home,
Right.
like this is my dream to be able to be a wife and to be a mom. But
Yeah,
then you just feel the need of doing something for yourself, and for
of
me,
course.
work. So I wanted to go back to work, but then you just can't, and you would feel you're stuck, that you're not good enough, that you feel like house chores are not that significant because
Okay.
you do that every single day, that you need to do, or like you need to go back to work because it will make you feel somewhat fulfilled. Although, like, doing this, taking care of your baby, doing all these chores is 100% fulfilling,
Of course.
but then feeling insignificant because you're doing it is valid too.
Of course.
You know?
And I'm glad you addressed that because I know there's a lot of people out there, mothers especially, who would have a different view that you do. Ones that are like, well, no, like, I've always wanted to just be a stay-at-home mom and I live for this stuff. And, we're not shitting on them, but, don't shit on people like you either, right? There's different types of people, different types of women, right? And men, like it's just different. And it's one of those things where it's so easy to not look at it from that lens. Like let's say I was the person or I was a mom that I was like, I don't know what she's talking about. I love folding clothes every single day. Like
God bless you.
you know what I mean, right? And it's like
Yeah,
because it is full. It's like what you said. It's
it,
fulfilling. It
it
truly
is.
is. But for some people, and I know you, like you're the kind of person that you're on the go. You're like, I want
Yeah,
to be like a career mom, like a super career mom who, holding Pablo in one hand and dealing with like accounts and stuff on the other. And it's that's you.
yeah.
So it's valid. And then I just wanted to say that because we have people watching or listening to this podcast, and obviously they have differing opinions, right? All I ask for you guys is to respect how the person is living their lives. And this is why they're on the show, to discuss what is going on with them. If you have something to say, get on this show. You can talk about your stuff too, and it will be just as valid. But yes, I
Yeah,
completely
but
agree.
like 100%, like every emotions, everything that you feel. Like I'm not saying that, what like that is just what I feel,
Exactly.
and that is just what I felt. And people are different.
Hmm.
Some people may think of it as, like you should be grateful because you're staying at home and you have this baby. Like some people can say that, um, some people are praying for this their entire lives, but people doesn't have it.
Yeah.
100%, I'm not complaining,
Right.
and I'm so grateful that I get to do this. That's why, I mean, that I get to do what I do.
Of course.
Um, that's why in that process, I mean, I'm just um, letting letting you know what I've been through, and in that process, I shifted my perspective into, instead of thinking of, I need to do this because I need to do this.
Hmm.
And it just stresses me out if I didn't fold the clothes, or if I didn't cook at this time frame that I'm supposed to do it, and I get so stressed out. But instead, I shifted it to thinking, I get to do this.
Right.
And I'm thankful that I get to do this. I'm thankful that I get to, be with my baby and just to do things that other people can't even do.
Right.
So yeah. So I just want to, you know,
No, honestly, like hot take, let me say this, right? And because I don't want you to feel like you have to defend yourself or anything like that.
no, not
Um,
at all.
but for a lot of people that don't get it, don't get what you're saying, why you're sharing this story, it's you're not complaining about having a child. You're not
No,
complaining about doing
I'm
chores
not.
for the child. It is about, and I know where you're coming from because we've spoken about this. You just want the best for your kid. And you feel like if your mental state is not in the best, how
Exactly.
can you give that? Right? And it's you trying to figure out that balance of how
Exactly.
can I be
Exactly.
happier so I can,
That's
right? Exactly. So, I get
exactly.
it. I get it. And I'm sure a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Oh man, but that's crazy. Like it's just so funny that you're saying these things because literally like nobody would ever, at
No.
least at least guys like who have
Yeah.
never experienced these things, like I would never have thought this is how it would feel for
Right.
a lot of mothers, like women, right? Like one of my friends just gave birth, like one of my best friends, she used to live with me, like like the both of them used to live with me, like the dad and the mom. And she's like Snapchatting her kid and like TikTok, and it's so awesome, it's so fun, like you, right? Like you did that with Pablo. But I have failed to ask, how is everything though,
Yeah.
right?
Well, you did. I don't think that you failed. I just think that, people just don't realize um it's equal as being happy, but then there's like downsides, because even before I get to be a mother, I think that some of my friends who just given birth to their baby, that they're living their best life. So if I was to ask, like, hey, I feel like I'm intruding or something, is that,
Right, yeah,
yeah. So I get what you feel, but
okay.
that's 100% appreciated. And when people come to you and just simply ask, like, how you've been, how's the new chapter of your life, it's like, for me, that's something.
I
And
love it.
I think that's why you even come up with this podcast, is to really have um like to have that sense of community, to
Yes.
to share with people what other people are going through, in a lot of ways, in a lot of things. And it just it's just you know just came up that in my mind right now, that all the people's feelings are valid, regardless if you think that
Not,
it's
yeah,
not.
like you don't agree with it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Hmm.
honestly, and I'm glad you thought of that because that is exactly why I made the show, right? Like there's a lot of people, we're not gonna get into politics. I don't want to talk about that. But in terms of other things that we agree or disagree on, when people post things on their Facebook, people read the words, but they don't feel the emotions behind the words. They don't know the intent behind the text. And for me, it's like everyone is just starting to really not understand each other because of such differing views that we have. And, it was so important for me to kind of have this format and platform for people to speak up so that
Yeah.
when people watch it and listen to it, they hear how it feels for this individual,
And
why they
it's
feel the way they feel.
unfiltered as well,
Yes.
and it's raw, and you like you can edit it out like some of the words, but then that emotion that person conveyed it's not filtered.
Well,
Yeah.
I think you guys would be glad to know that I am too lazy to edit anything. So, like,
Oh, you're not going to
literally,
edit
I
somehow?
don't, dude, I don't edit shit. Like, the only thing I edit is like, okay, let's just turn up the volume so people can hear. I don't edit
Oh
anything. Like,
gosh.
this is literally one take. Like, it's a legit, like, live taping. That's why that live thing with Paymon, it felt like it was just regular because I don't have, no, like, I'm
God,
gonna
this
press
is not live.
right? Yeah, it's like this is technically live. Like if we could have done this on Facebook Live, but it always just been a lot of pressure on you. But anyway, I do want to ask because I don't even know how long we've been on here. I don't care. It's just I know you got to pick up Pablo, but
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm gonna try
Okay.
to
Still 10
wrap this up. Okay, we have some time. All right. I do okay, but now, right? Like I mean, I know you've already I do have to ask, how were you able to adapt then to this new world? Because I can see you now, you are a lot happier than when I talked to you. Like the last time we had that phone call, you are like like
I
miles,
appreciate
miles.
that phone call so
Oh,
much. That really helped me,
I'm glad.
honestly.
Honestly, like it was hard. It was for me. It was so hard to talk because my intrusive thoughts were saying,
Yeah.
it was funny. My intrusive thoughts were like, give her the worst advice ever, and I'm like, what? It was like, no, I'm
So
not gonna do that.
you did give like the best advice, like the most, anyway, the most simplest advice. That really helped me.
Oh no, hold
Well,
on. You kind of froze. What? What you
we're
say?
going
What you
off
say?
topic, but yeah. But what?
Oh, you froze. What did you say?
Oh, I did.
It was like, yeah. And I'm like, oh.
No, like what I was saying is that you gave me like the most simplest advice that really stuck to me.
Oh,
So really helped me. And I'm so glad that I talked to you that day. And I didn't even like, I feel that I'm just going to vent out and just, feel what I felt, but then you really helped me.
I'm
So
glad.
thank you.
Oh, I'm
Thank
so
you for
glad to
being
hear that.
here.
Honestly, I got you. I got your back anytime. Like, come on now.
I'm hungry.
Let's say, let's say, actually, I was just thinking, I was like, the next time we do an episode, like,
Mukbang.
we'll get mukbang. Honestly, we'll get Nikki to cook.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Right? I think it's great. I think we should get her on the show. But honestly, okay, so how were you able to then really just kind of like, okay, you know what? Because it's hard to just convince yourself to be happy. That's not how things are. And I just want to know, like, you've been successful at, or it looks like it, like you've conquered whatever it was that you were dealing with the depression, being a new mom, raising a new child, you know, in a new world. How did you cope? How were you able to just kind of go through it day by day? And now it's great.
You mean like go through with what I been through, like right after
Yeah,
Pablo?
like what did you do or what did you say to yourself to allow yourself to really rise above everything that you were going through?
I just think that, I just don't want to dwell in that situation because um, I think it's really important to have that strong support system. And that helped me because I was talking to friends. And I just think, even though you don't tell them what's going on, just by simply asking people like how they were or like how they are, it will really help you to release that unselfishness and just to you know realized that though what I'm feeling is valid, but then it makes you feel that um, because when you're in that situation, you feel it's only you that
Right.
who went through that. I was thinking back then, it felt like I was the only person who labored a baby for 48 hours.
Oh my God.
And I feel like I was the only person who pushed a baby and didn't get what I wanted to have him a normal delivery. But then that happened. That that situation or that moment led me to thinking that it was only me. But then talking to some other people or like being or being in that being in a community where you can read some of like people or some moms who went through what I've been through, or some people went through worse um,
Yes.
things compared to what I experienced. I think it will just humble you, and um, it it will just humble you in a way that you know you will just think that you are blessed to have gone through that and process it and coming coming out like a stronger and braver version of yourself. I mean, talking about this right now is just um, it's getting into me because
Right.
I know that I was in not a good place, and um, I'm not used to talking about it
I
too.
figured.
And so right now, hearing say this, I feel better, and I just feel really thankful and grateful that you know that I came out in that situation better, and to know how to control my emotion and just to shift it into um just to shift in to be thankful for and just to be grateful for having this new life. I think that's what helped me, and um I cling to God as well.
Right.
I go through that, or when I went through that, and even up to this day, of course, it's just really important to have that connection and just to simply pray and
Like that.
to just recognize that there's a bigger person, there's a bigger man up there who who is like who has a control over us. So I think that's what helped me
All
to.
right. I damn. I gotta, you gotta get one of
Like
these.
I'm
That was
laughing because
beautiful.
I don't even understand what I'm trying to say, but
It makes sense.
it
It
does.
makes a lot of sense. It
Yeah.
does, and that's kind of the beauty of it. It's, being able to sit there and be like, why is he fucking asking me this? How do I actually
I feel like
really feel?
that's what I told you. Like I would want to reflect on first so that I wouldn't lag,
But it's good. It's very raw, right? And that's what I appreciate that, honestly. And it's great, right? Being able to hear yourself say this, kind of looking back at your experience and realizing, holy shit, like I went through that
Yeah.
and now I'm here, right? And it's great.
Yeah.
That's wow, Michaela, my goodness, this is great. And it's funny, like we're kind of running out of time and there's still so much to talk about, but we'll
Next
save that for next time.
time.
Um, Again, thank you for being
You.
here. I'm so glad you're able to share your story.
Thank you so much.
All right. So, guys, remember if you see or know somebody who just gave birth, or not even just that, like before they even give birth, they're in the pregnancies and stuff,
Touch on them. And
right? There you go. Always check up on them. Be compassionate, right? The whole world doesn't revolve around you, but for that pregnant lady slash new mother, it does revolve around them. So, try, try to be
honestly,
good.
Gotta be good.
Hmm. Get them out of that funk. Bring them back into the world. Be like, hey, you're not the only one that's hurting, right? And there are other people out there who can help you.
A lot of people will appreciate that, especially mothers.
All right. Thank you so much, Michaela.
And
You're the best.
so
Goodbye, guys. I will talk to you later. Go have fun. This has been Breaking Down the Breakdown. We will see her again next time. Don't know when. We'll figure it out. Gosh, I hope y'all are still listening. Good night. Goodbye.